Hi, welcome to next Leetcode question. Today we have function composition. So function composition is a concept in functional programming where the output of one function is used as the input of another function. Now what does that mean? So multiple times you have seen that we are given an input and a chain of functions and we have to process it in some way and return just a single output itself, right? So consider something like this, right? We are giving an input, then we have function A, function B, function C and output, right? So you will be passing this input in the function A, whatever you are processing, then it will go to B and it will go to C and then hence come the output, right? So we have to define something like this. So let's read the question and I'll explain you more with the image. So you are given an array of functions that is on line number 5 and we have to return, it returns another function that is function composition of array of functions. So we have to do something inside this main composition function, right? The function composition of this complete array is fnx f of g of h of x, so something like which we did in high school mathematics, right? The function composition of an empty list of functions is identified as function x equals to x. So if we are not getting anything, we just have to return x. That's what it means, nothing more than that, right? You may assume each function in the array accepts one integer as input and return one integer as output. Oh, it's making things simple, right? That we can always assume that it is accepting an integer and it is returning something. Okay, so what we are supposed to do in simple language is we have to wrap this whole thing into a single function. So whenever we are passing an input, this should process that input and returns output. Now how this processing works is something like, let's take an example, right? We are given this given this array of functions, right? What we can do, instead of applying from front to last, we can start from last itself, right? So we will be passing this x value inside function C. Whatever output we are getting, we will pass it to B. Again the output will be passed to function A and that will make this whole function as a single giant compose function. I'm just calling it compose, it has nothing to do with the name, right? So this whole thing what you have written, it's a very important library implementation of two popular JavaScript library, Lambda and Lodash. So we are just seeing how it's implemented under the hood. So it's a great learning opportunity. Okay, now coming back to the signature of function, right? This compose, right? This is like just a given name. This is how the libraries have implemented it here, but we are just calling it compose. Because on the name of line number 5, so it accepts an array of functions. So x will return x plus 1. So this is a function, this is another function, right? So whatever value you are passing, it will just increment it by 1 and then just done with this. Similarly this another function, it just multiplied by 2. So we have two functions. We have to make a giant function. If we pass it 4, then it should return like 5. It should first multiply it because this is the inner function, right? So this is like you are passing 4, then 4 should be, this should return 8 because 4 into 2, we have 8 from here, right? Now this 8 will be passed to this function, it will be 8 plus 1, this is 9. So this is how the function should work. We have already seen what the params and return types are. The functions here is an array of function and the return type is a function here. Okay, now let's jump into the coding part, right? Okay, I've already explained you, I guess, right, that we should be starting from the back so that we will wrap this another function into this and this into that. Cool. So we have array of functions. So let's start declaring the input and output. As we always do, we will just clone the arguments so that we won't lose the variable into a local variable and return it. That's what the function is expecting us, right? Now we have to iterate over the functions array. So we will just declare a simple for loop. So you can see I'm starting from the back of the array, right? Until that goes till the 0 to that is the first element, and we are doing minus, that is traversing back the array, right? After that is done, we will simply use whatever we are expected in the question. So in the results, we are storing the functions I, right? Whatever functions we have here, it's element, the current element in the loop, and then we will be passing that as the result, whatever we have received in the previous iteration. That's it. That's all you are supposed to do. If you run it, it's accepted. Now let's just see how. So this is the basic implementation. If you are aware of reduce write, I'm just gonna give you a brief example because I'll be covering more things in my video and then explaining these questions again later point. So this is again a new function with a similar signature. This is what we can do with reduce write. So reduce write is again a reduce function, but it start from the write itself. It will process the accumulator based on whatever we are processing, and then just return it. As simple as that. Yeah, so we will go with the first one. I'll come to this later when I'll explain reduce write in my later videos. Just submit it. Okay, we are done. I hope I was able to explain you the question, how it works, and with some explanation. If you like it, please subscribe and follow for more. Thank you.